Hello, everybody. This is Alanna Pearl, the Fairy Godlawyer, and today I have a special guest with me today. This is Liz Roberts. For those of you who don't know Liz,
Hello.
not only is she the Client Services Director here at Conscious Legal, she's also my best friend, and believe it or not, also my wifey. Not legally, but we are married in our minds as friends.
That's
So
true.
today we're going to be talking about what Liz does for our clients here at Conscious Legal, and in particular, we're going to be talking about the Kids Protection Plan and what it is, first of all, and why it's so important for people with minor children to have one, and especially now that Liz is prego. You want to stand up and show everybody your belly? So there's Liz's big pregnant belly. And so more than ever for Liz, I think it's prevalent why it is so important to get your legal ducks in a row if you have children and do the right thing. So Liz, take it away. Why don't you talk about what you used to do and then why you decided to come work with me in this crazy venture called Conscious Legal?
That's pretty easy to do. For the last 13 years, I've been working in the public school system and also at Rady Children's Hospital with kids with special needs, autism, behavioral issues, things like that. And I was, looking for a change anyway. And I was living with you at the time, and you were studying all about estate planning and changing your career over to owning your own law firm. And I kind of got curious about what you were doing. And when I heard more about estate planning, I mean, initially I thought, I don't really know what that is. But when I learned more about it and how it actually helps families or singles, everybody. Sorry about that.
Whoops.
I thought that was off.
That's okay. No worries. This is a live show, so things happen. I'm sure it was a client calling.
Yes, of course. I'll call them back.
Yes.
So, when I learned more about how we're actually helping families, that's when I got really excited about it. Because my whole career prior to that was helping families, helping people with young children when they were in dire need, actually, of services. And then when I learned about how we can help people get their lives in order, and then I learned more about the Kids Protection Plan, which we're going to talk about today, I got really excited about that, helping people if there's going to be an emergency. So.
Right. So let me just explain what the Kids Protection Plan is. And this is something that it's really in Liz's domain. She helps people with getting a lot of the pieces of this together. So for all of our clients who have minor children, this is something that we add and include in every single plan that we do. And it's a separate set of documents that stays on its own, easily accessible, not kept with your will and your trust, because those documents should be kept in a safe location that in an emergency, people wouldn't necessarily know where those were. They might be in a safe somewhere or somewhere else where you keep your most important documents. But the Kids Protection Plan is a set of documents that has legal authorizations and a plan in place in the event of an emergency. And the reason that we create these plans is because of really a gap that's left by traditional estate planning when it comes to naming guardians for children. So most people who have minor children think, well, all I need to do is name guardians in a will, and I'm good to go. Something happens to me, I've named somebody, that's it. But the reality is that there is, in an emergency time period, nobody's going to know where your will is, and nobody's going to be looking for your will. They're going to be calling the police, and they're going to be trying to figure out what's really going on here. And if you have minor children at school or at home, and you have not created a plan with clear legal authorizations of people local, nearby, who can come and say, hey, I've got this, Mr. Police Officer, here's my legal authorization in hand. This is my nomination to be a caregiver, to be a guardian in this exact instance, then it's very possible that your children could be taken away, maybe temporarily, but who would even want that for a minute, into the care of Child Protective Services until the authorities can figure out what to do. And so what we do is create a plan, not just for the long term, if something happens to you in the long term, but for the short term. And really, this is not just in the event of your death, although of course it would apply there, but it's in the event of any emergency where you can't be reached, or God forbid you were sick with COVID-19 and you were in the hospital and your children didn't have anywhere to go. So Liz, I want you to talk about, now that you're pregnant, what is the kids protection plan sort of, has it taken on a new meaning for you? And how has the experience been with you helping families when they put these plans into place?
Well, it's definitely taken on a new meaning just because I'm planning my own. I made one to pretend once just to have as an example, but I've always been really passionate about it. It's been like passion project here along with the legacy videos that we do. And I've always enjoyed helping parents really think about what would happen in the immediate situation like you just described. Who could be there for your children? Because like so many people who live here in California, they might have relatives in another state or another country, and they don't know who they would call in an emergency. I'm lucky enough where I do have immediate family in Oceanside, but let's be honest, North County seems like a world away from here. Even somebody right here in my own neighborhood would be much more of a first choice for an emergency response.
Yeah, and how would anybody know to even call them if you hadn't created the plan and then given them the legal authorization to take care of children?
And what I really like about our kids protection plan is that we notify all the guardians, those temporary guardians, about their role and give them that paperwork that you're talking about. It's not tucked away in a will, like you said, in a drawer or who knows where people don't even know where that paperwork is. The guardians are notified, they have their paperwork, and then the parents also have those emergency cards that we make. So each parent or each caregiver that is responsible for the child has an emergency card with the contact of the temporary guardian all listed out, ready to go. So if you were, God forbid, incapacitated, authorities go through your wallet, they'll find that emergency card or your purse, whatever.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. That's right. I forgot that you had made the sample kids protection plan. So we had a sample one that we would show to people that this is what we're going to make for you. It was Liz's fake children. And now we're making a real one for you, which is pretty funny. The power of manifestation.
It's true. It does occur. I think the difference is now is that we've been talking about who we would have as our guardians.
Say that again. I missed you because it froze for a second. What did you just say?
Now that it is a real plan, we've been talking about who would be the long-term guardians and what qualities. So, I've been able to coach a lot of parents through that decision-making process. And we have a great worksheet that we can help guide them in how to choose a guardian. But now going through it for real this time, it is really, I have a little more understanding and compassion for the process, because I do want to pick the right guardian based on values and morals and not on finances. And that's why I made our first step of, even before we did the KPP, or the kids protection plan, was to get life insurance for this little being.
Yes. So let's talk about that, because I think a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people think, well, yeah, I have kids, but I don't have any assets. So why would I need a trust? That doesn't make any sense. I don't have anything to put in the trust. But as you've learned, it's actually more important, really, in some instances, for people who have minor children, but not really any assets, to do this pre-planning, and specifically by getting life insurance and combining that with a living trust. For the protection of children, then really for people who even do have assets. So I'm going to test your knowledge here. You've learned so much working with us, and with me. I say us, it's me and you. But when I say us, I mean me and you.
Yeah.
But but the question is, why is it so important, and how do we do that? How do we help people with their life insurance and their trust? Go.
Why is the life insurance so important? Because if we are not here for the child, we need to make sure that we have the proper funds in place for them. So whoever we can name as guardian does not have to take that burden on. I've been named as guardian for somebody, and the thought of taking on 2 or 3 children right now without any financial support is terrifying. And to go from no finances to all of a sudden funding 2 to 3 kids. So it's absolutely the parent's responsibility to make sure that there is funding in place for the child's lifetime, so they can actually raise the child and not worry about finances. And one thing I really learned about the trust is I'm the perfect candidate for a will, essentially. I'm not a homeowner. I don't have the child yet, but now that I'm going to be a mom, I've learned, you can correct me on the legal terms of this, that you're going to we're making a trust now, because we need to have clear instructions of how life insurance were to pass to the child and who would manage those funds if both parents were not available for
Yeah, exactly. You got it right. I mean, Whenever I work with parents who don't have, a lot of assets, and they don't have life insurance, the very first thing I say is you need to get life insurance right away. And in combination with that, we're going to create your living trust. I don't care if the living trust only has $10 in it right now. The purpose of it is so that if something happens to you, we're going to name that trust, which is really, it's a bucket, it's a receptacle to take the money. So if you have $1 million life insurance policy, which I think you guys have now, right? So or something around there. Yes, excellent. Congratulations on that. And so if something happened to you guys, then that $1 million would get paid into this bucket. It would not have to go through court, which otherwise it actually would if you named your kids outright. It would have to go through court, and a judge would have to pick somebody to be in charge of that money. And that person would probably cost money also to manage that money. So you're really setting your children up for, being in the court system for sure if something happened to you, if you don't do a little pre-planning with it. But instead of doing that, the easiest and best thing to do, name the trust as the beneficiary. If something happened to you guys, that money is going to be payable to the trust. It's going to be completely private outside the court system. You've already designated the person and a couple backups who would be in charge of that money on behalf of your children's benefit. And ultimately someday when you say, not when a court says, which would be probably age 18, but maybe at age 25, age 30, whatever it is, they may be able to take over management of that money for themselves, but only when you say. And it's really, you're setting, you can sleep easy at night when you've set up this system. And it's not that hard to do. It just takes a little pre-planning. So I'm so glad that we're doing it for you and Ryder. Yeah. And all the stuff that you've learned is really coming true.
Yeah, that's right. What I really like about the trust as well is that it doesn't have to be the same person as the caregiver. It might be, but we could name a long-term guardian who is just the sole provider for the child, their emotion, their education, their well-being. But then we can name another person to manage the funds. So it kind of brings some people together to be involved in the child's life, and we're going to be there for him or her, but still. So
You're saying him. I think it's a him too.
For her, yeah. So then there'll be multiple people available for the child's life to make sure that there's checks and balances. So we could really set up a plan that we feel really good about. Like you said.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. When I talk to parents, about who should be the guardian, who should be the trustee, and we talk about the fact that does not have to be the same person, and oftentimes it makes sense for it to not be the same person. The guardian is the person who would be there to provide love and care and make decisions about education and social activities and all the things that you do, as a parent that don't relate to money. And then the trustee is there to provide the finances and to create the budget for that life. And those two people in an ideal situation would work together. So you're exactly right. Well, thank you so much, Liz, for telling everybody about your experience with the KPP. And I'm so excited to meet my little niece or nephew soon. And yes, absolutely. So if you have minor children and you have not set up a kids protection plan yet, and you want to, please get in touch with us. We'd love to help you out. We don't bite. Liz is going to be your first point of contact. And every single person who works with Liz, who comes through our law firm, absolutely loves her. So please give us a call. We'll put our online calendar link in the comments so that you can actually just get on there and schedule a call with Liz, and she'll talk it out with you, and we'll see if we're a good fit for working together. So everybody, thank you so much. Thank you, Liz. I love you.
I love you too. Thanks, Alanna.
I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Happy Friday.